Hey, aloha everyone, Paul Aker here with the Real Estate Investors Resource, and this time we're talking about short-term versus long-term rentals and which one is right for you. So, hit the music. Hey everyone, I'm Paul, and I'm a realtor, author, and real estate investor. And on this channel, the Real Estate Investors Resource, we try to help investors with their financial decisions as they go into this wide open world of financial independence or potential financial independence with real estate. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, make sure to like and subscribe and do all those things that all those other crazy YouTube channel people tell you about. You know, do, like, subscribe, do it all. And that way you can know when we produce new videos so you can profit from what I know. So there's generally two reasons people go with vacation rentals. One is for personal enjoyment and the other is for return on investment. Now let's start with the difference between a short-term and a long-term rental to begin with. The short-term rental is one that's typically rented on a basis of less than 30 days. In some areas that's less than 6 months. All of the municipalities, localities, states have their own regulations and rules about what it is that a short-term rental is and isn't, and what a long-term one is. But generally, 30 days is the demarcation point across the country. You do want to check your local specifics, though, to know for sure. And here's why it's important. Those short-term rentals, they get taxed at a different rate, typically speaking, and those taxes are more than on a long-term rental. And in some places, the short-term rental is banned outright, either by municipality regulations and so forth, or by the covenants of the neighborhood. So you definitely want to make sure that you understand what the rules are going in. And like I said, the distinctions vary by locality, so do your research there and make sure you know what the difference is. So as for personal enjoyment, the vacation rental is one that offers a variety of possibilities for personal enjoyment. You can be on the beach, you can be in the mountains, you can be wherever you like to vacation. I happen to live here on the island of Maui, and so there are a lot of beach houses and things like that here. But for a lot of people, their idea of paradise is in, the Smoky Mountains, or in Florida or Colorado, all kinds of places where you like to vacation, and when you're not there, you rent it out in the alternative. Now, the thing to think about when it comes to your personal experience, your personal enjoyment of the property is it does affect the equation, the analysis on what you should pay for a property, what kind of value it's going to bring to you. I call this the enjoyment on investment analysis in my book, Profits in Paradise. You can read all about that, but it's what I refer to as the EOI, and that differs from the ROI, return on investment, and typically that's how investments are calculated. What is your return on investment that you're making? The EOI recognizes that vacation rental is a little bit different. You're getting a value that's hard to quantify traditionally, and that is your personal use or your personal enjoyment of the property. But for a lot of people, the return on investment is still very important. The OI factor is a little bit less important, and they really want those properties to pay. In those cases, you do need to know that a vacation rental or short-term rental, and the distinction, by the way, is a short-term rental is, at least the way I designate it, is one that will meet that threshold that's, less than 30 days or whatever that you're renting it out, but is not necessarily geared just for the vacationer. Whereas a vacation rental, you kind of know it when you see it. You're in one of those resort areas, people are using it predominantly because they're on vacation, and that's really the distinction. It's really just a working distinction to allow you to know where things are, but technically there's not a lot of difference there in terms of the structure and the legalities of things and so forth. But back to the return on investment. Overall, the short-term rental is going to show you about a 20 to 30% return on investment. At least that's been my experience in the markets that I've analyzed. Again, all these markets are different. Big disclaimer here, you need to do your own due diligence, dig into this, find out for yourself what these short-term rentals are returning in the areas that you're interested in, and find out and talk to an expert. I will tell you that I am an attorney, I'm a realtor, and when I say attorney, I'm actually an inactive attorney, meaning that I have a license, but I'm not using it right now, so I'm on inactive status. But I'm not your realtor, and I'm certainly not your attorney. I'm not your CPA, and the reason I'm telling you that is because it's very important to have a relationship with your own attorney or realtor or whatever to help guide you in some of these decisions. This information is for education only, to help give you an idea of the world around you. If you need specific advice, you need to talk to your own professional. That said, like I told you, money is important. The ROI is typically better on a short-term rental than it is a long-term rental, again, depending on the market and how well you buy it as well. But there are trade-offs, right? There are a lot of trade-offs that you need to consider. The short-term rental, again, as I mentioned in the book, Profits in Paradise, has a lot of attendant issues that you need to think about. They're more intense in terms of management. Now, you don't necessarily have to manage it yourself, but there are definitely a lot of management issues that you're going to have to contemplate. A lot of those will have to do with booking the guests, corresponding with the guests, dealing with check-ins, check-outs. Cleaning crews are huge. You're definitely going to need to coordinate cleaning crews, make sure that you have not only a good, competent cleaning crew, but one that is Johnny on the spot, ready to keep that unit of yours turning. So when those next guests come, the pipeline stays moving, you're rolling, you're not having to have down days or times where the place is not occupied because it's not clean. That is a killer. So you definitely want to be on top of all that. And you also have to be around for emergencies. And trust me, when people are on vacation and unfamiliar with an area, things that might otherwise seem simple all of a sudden become an emergency, and you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have a maintenance person, all kinds of things that go into running the short-term rental that maybe would not be as significant as they are in a long-term. Definitely not as significant in long-term. In the long-term, the situation is such that, essentially you go ahead and do the hard work up front, and that is finding the right renter. You want to make sure you find a renter that is going to pay and going to leave the place essentially like they found it, not destroyed it at the very least, and pay on time and consistently and all that. Then once you've found that, and don't underestimate that task, because that's very important. But once you have that, your hard work is pretty much done. You're not going to see that renter too often, hear from that renter too often, especially if you have a nice place and you've done a good job of maintaining it and so forth. That's pretty much on autopilot, right? You're collecting your checks, you know what to budget for, and that is something that's just sort of working in the background and a lot less hands-on. And of course, with the short-term rental, a lot of people will go ahead and get a property manager, do all those things that I told you about, dealing with the check-ins, checkouts, bookings, cleaning crews, all that stuff. They'll put that on autopilot, but they'll pay for it. They'll hire a property manager that will do all that for them, and that's going to be at the very least for a full-service property manager, 25% or so, all the way up to some cases 40%, depending on the situation, depending on the configuration with that management company. So it's not cheap. It does take a chunk out, but makes your life a lot easier. And sometimes there are variations in the middle. Again, I talk about that in Profits in Paradise, where maybe you can get a hybrid system so you can really tweak your income and make sure you're optimized in a way that leaves your life sane, but also leaves a little bit more at the end of things. With the short-term rental, you're paying that. With the long-term rental, you can hire a management company as well. 10-15% is probably all you're going to pay there, which is a chunk, but again, they do a really good job if you hire a good management company of screening those renters, making sure that you have a good renter, and you continue to get paid throughout. So those are the highlights, my friends. I have a whole book on short-term rentals called Profits in Paradise, Expert Secrets for Finding, Negotiating, and Winning with Vacation Rentals and Airbnb. Check it out. I have dropped the down if you want to get into a vacation rental or any property, investment property, without that heavy, burdensome down payment. I have some creative ways there. I have another book coming out that I'll tell you about more later. That's going to be really exciting, about a super creative way in the vacation rental arena to get it to pay you and use it like a timeshare. So exciting. Anyhow, I'm right here for you at the Real Estate Investors Resource. You can always find me on Facebook. I encourage you to join our group. We want to have you there. You can chime in, ask questions, get help, whatever you need to do, be part of the community. And until next time, aloha.